When you think about why the NHL and hockey as a whole is so behind in terms of international popularity, with growth even plummeting in North America, it's because of boneheaded decisions, such as excluding some of the game's biggest international stars in a tournament set up by the NHL and NHLPA. Because after anticipating almost 8 years for an international tournament, hockey finally gets to watch superstars like McDavid, McKinnon, and Matthews all take part in international competition and represent their countries, with some amazing storylines, the Crosby-McDavid crossover, a Nova Scotia line, or even Matthews playing with Kane and Hughes. For hockey fans, it really doesn't get better than this, until you realize there are only 4 nations in this tournament, those being Canada, US, Finland, and Sweden. Now this means players like Pastrnak, Kucherov, and Draisaitl have all been excluded from this tournament despite paying their dues to the NHL and NHLPA. It's like the NBA setting up a tournament excluding players like Doncic, Jokic, and Embiid. And because of this exclusion, massive backlash has come from many different directions, with players like David Pastrnak publicly coming out and speaking against this exclusion. But NHL executives and agents aren't happy either, with reporters like Andy Strickland coming out and saying, I quote, "Last time I checked, Russian and Czech players have paid their dues to the NHL and NHLPA, and this is an NHL event. Talking to NHL executives, agents, and players, they are pissed off about it. It's a slap in the face and unnecessary." And the worst part about all of this is that the NHL could have easily implemented these superstar players either through an 8-team tournament like we saw in the 2016 World Cup of Hockey, which was one of the best ideas by the NHL in recent history, or a 4-team tournament consisting of Team Canada, Team USA, Team Scandinavia, and Team Europe. This would mean players from Russia, Czechia, Switzerland, Germany, Slovakia, Norway, and Denmark all get to participate, providing talent, more competition, and the opportunity to watch tantalizing duos play on the same line. Now, you might think players wouldn't take this format as seriously, considering they're grouped together with players all throughout different nations, but this tournament is a replacement for the NHL All-Star Game mid-season. Players probably aren't giving their 100% either way, with the Olympics being next year. It's hard to think a week after leaving their teams, players would go hard against their own teammates. For example, Cale Makar, a week after playing with Mikko Rantanen, probably wouldn't go his 100% against him, considering they still have an NHL season to play. On top of being able to watch players from smaller nations like Pastrnak or Draisaitl be able to participate, hockey may be able to watch Alex Ovechkin or Evgeny Malkin participate in international competition for the last time. To really hammer this point home, a Team Europe will look something like this, which is on screen. Kucherov, Draisaitl, Pastrnak on the first line, Kaprizov, Malkin, Panarin, Ovechkin, Hischier, Stützle, Ehlers, Svechnikov, Fiala, Sergachev, Yossi, Hronek, Seider, Orlov, Zadorov, and Shesterkin and Vasilevsky in net. This team is not only dominant, but could actually win this entire tournament, but instead all these players get excluded from this tournament. Not only would this format make for such an electric tournament, it would also be a proper best-on-best tournament. Instead, the NHL decides to exclude all these superstars and pretty much exclude viewership entirely for most of Europe. This is not only bad for viewership, but for international growth in a time where NHL popularity is plummeting and falling into mediocrity. A tournament where we get to watch Kucherov beat Pastrnak and Draisaitl, offensive juggernauts like Canada and the US match up against Shesterkin and Vasilevsky, and an absolutely stacked Scandinavian roster would help include every NHL star who otherwise would have participated in an NHL All-Star Game, which this is replacing. Now, at the end of the day, the 4 Nations mini-tournament will still be a must-watch tournament, but you can't beg to think how much more electric it could have been in all facets and could have helped the NHL in growing the game internationally. Comment down below your thoughts on some of the NHL's biggest stars being excluded from this tournament, but if you enjoyed, remember to like, subscribe, and share your opinion down in the comments below, and I will see you in the next one.